blender, a pipe, and a Tickle Me Elmo. And you take the pipe, you insert it inside.
Wait, hold on. Phone call. Yes, hello, Mr. President. Oh. Oh, dear. How long do we have? Oh, no. Yes, I'll let them know, and goodbye, Mr. President. That was the president of the Center for Asteroid Control.
Is that even real?
He said that we have half an hour, give or take, before the meteor comes down and wipes out all intelligent life within a half-mile of this spot.
And we can't leave because...
Because we're already infected.
Infected with what?
Don't you get it, man? We're already dead!
So why worry?
Well, we watched a movie today. Meteor Apocalypse.
Yes. And the funny thing is, it's from our old friends at Faith Films.
Faith Films, if you don't remember, made Sunday School Musical, which you can watch by clicking on the screen at some point in this arm motion. There. Too bad you didn't click it. You're stuck with us now. So,
for another episode. But
Faith Films was a subsidiary of Asylum, which we have covered multiple times.
Yeah, but I have a feeling we're going to keep coming back to them because
will.
they just keep producing, you know, the highlights of the bad movie world.
Faith Films is the subsidiary that makes the more family-friendly
and faith-centric oriented films.
So when I clicked on Meteor Apocalypse and I saw a reviewer say, another gem from Faith Films, you know what we had to do at that point?
We had to click play.
We had to click play. And Matt, are you happy we clicked play?
No.
No, not at all.
I don't know if it's just personal bias against Faith Films and whatnot, but these guys, they're the average C student of Asylum. They are Asylum's special ed case.
Like when it comes to Asylum, you got the really enjoyable films. They're always bad. But you got the enjoyable films, and then you got the really unenjoyable
It was
films.
like, at the top, you've got basically Sherlock Holmes battles a dragon and Iron Man. And at the bottom, you have... I don't know. I don't think we've actually even covered the bottom.
I guess 2012 Ice Age was the worst one we saw.
Yeah, but that still was enjoyable to a degree.
We know they're about. We know we've done a bad one. We just can't think of it because we try to block it out.
We try. It's suppressing memories. I think we both have aneurysms.
Oh, definitely.
I'm
a burst.
Oh yeah, you know, he's got 3. I've got 1.5. One's growing.
Mm-hmm.
But having said that,
you may notice that for the past few minutes we haven't talked about the film at all because we don't want to.
We don't want to because you know what? Not only is the film uninteresting. The characters are stupid.
Everything's bland.
Everything's bland.
Everything's bland. And everything's also contrived.
This is also coming after an Uli Lamel film.
Yeah.
So...
This is really bland.
I
guess let's... You want to give me a minute for plot?
Let's give it a minute for plot.
Alright, we'll give it a minute for plot. Okay. 1 minute starting now. So... What to really say about it? It's your basic... Okay, Deep Impact. If you haven't seen Deep Impact, watch Deep Impact. There's the whole thing where they spot the meteor and then the meteor's coming down and then everyone kind of panics a little bit, but then they accept their fate slowly over the movie. That's not this movie. This movie is they just blow up the meteor in the very beginning. That's it. Nobody knows the meteor is coming. No one's looked up in the sky and seen it coming down not 4 days away, but besides the point. So now the meteors are coming down and they're just basically trying to survive. The one guy is trying to reunite with his family who was taken away because there's some sort of biological thing on the meteor, and so certain areas were quarantined. And look, the intro that we did, it may not have made sense, but it made as much sense as this movie. So, yeah, so he's just trying to go around trying to get his family. There's some chick he teams up with, and overall it's your generic...
Looks a lot like Olivia Wilde.
Yeah, it's your generic survival film in an apocalyptic setting. So, yeah, that's about it.
And it's hard to make fun of this movie because really... There's not much that happens.
Nothing happens.
I mean, alright, I will say one thing. In true Asylum fashion, the CGI is awful.
Oh, of course. We can just get that out of the way to begin with.
And also...
CGI sucks.
Alright, the two major glaring issues with this movie, besides normal...
Two?
Normal stuff wrong with Asylum films, the CGI and the science.
The science is bigger than the CGI.
The science is the biggest flaw. The people who wrote this movie have no idea what science... They don't science. They don't science, bro.
You have a science, bro?
These guys don't science, bro. So, I mean, like, every single time they try to bring up anything involving...
The acidic levels in this water are off the charts.
From the beginning of the damn movie, they don't know a thing about what they're talking about.
Alright, so, that's really what majority of this review is probably going to be, is us going off on the science. So let's just start it real quick with the other stuff, because we're going to
Okay, well, let's... Acting.
Acting was completely...
Acting.
Was completely generic and bland. It wasn't bad, it wasn't great, it was just there.
Meh.
There was one guy who was... Because I guess they were trying to Mad Max the shit out of this.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Because it's like Nevada and Los Angeles. It's Nevada and Los Angeles, so they're just like desert wasteland the whole way. But there's this one
Even
guy,
though I think they shot that in Virginia.
There's this one guy who we said was Jesse Pinkman from Breaking Bad. It
Oh,
was
yeah.
his cousin.
Oh yeah.
He didn't look too much like him, but the mannerisms were down. It was crazy.
Pinkman, they're in everything, even fake films.
What? Oh, acting. Yeah,
like main character.
There were two. There was the father character who just doesn't.
I think the girl was better than him.
Oh yeah.
Like,
well, there's the father who just doesn't quite associate with his family. He's just not.
It's not there.
He doesn't quite click until his family's taken. In which case, he'll go through hell and back to get him. Or he'll walk about, I don't know, 2 miles, maybe? Not far.
The problem, like, one of the major issues with this movie that also bleeds into the acting is the fact that there's no centralized direction of where this movie is trying to go. And they have so many different subplots. You need to choose. You have to choose. And, like, there's one subplot of one character who's controlling the CDC, and then he gets ousted, and he's not seen for the rest of the movie.
What's the CDC actually? The Center for Disease Control.
Yes, that's the actual...
What's the CDC in this?
The Center for Disease Containment.
I don't know if that's an actual thing, but I don't think it's an actual
I don't think it is.
So, yeah.
And I love how also, from what I remember reading... I don't know if this is true or not, but this is taking place sometime in the future.
Oh yeah, at some point in the future.
Yeah, like, this is a future, like, even though obviously, no, it's not.
No, it's taking place 5 minutes from yesterday.
It's taking 5 minutes yesterday. Alright, one thing, it's Asylum, it's shot on video.
Wait, hold on, we didn't finish acting. We mentioned the guy.
There's more?
The girl.
The girl. She's better. She's competent.
Her character was, when he's like roaming around the apocalyptic wasteland, he hears coughing because if you drink the water, you get sick and die.
There's also a subliminal message of how 7-Eleven waters down their soda.
Because she's drinking a soda and then she gets sick. So it's like,
no, Pepsi, no.
Why couldn't they just get it out of the can?
No.
But,
you don't get free refills otherwise!
She was okay acting. Like, she was fine.
Even though her character was horribly written.
Her character was a whiny talking. Yeah.
I think the movie tried to cover way too much and ended up also doing nothing at all. Like, I've been seeing this more and more in movies the last couple times. Not necessarily just movies that we've done for ShitFlix, but also like
blockbusters.
And also like if you read my column, like I did the latest Rob Zombie horror film, Lords of Salem, which is a movie that I said it's a movie that tries to do way too much and ends up accomplishing nothing. And I think this movie was just it wasn't trying to do anything. It was just doing too much.
Right.
I didn't see that much effort involved here.
Like we said, it was very bland. They were just taking all of the sort of apocalyptic scenarios and just throwing them in there.
And they're just the bare bones structure of those scenarios too. It wasn't full of cliches and whatnot. It was just this scenario is happening, so we're gonna get to this scenario somehow. So muddle.
And it wasn't even like disaster. Like there's the physical like disaster. Like 2012 Ice Age was the glacier, and there's what was it? Day After Tomorrow is the superstorm.
Yeah.
Those are like natural disasters.
Meteor!
They also were taking certain cues from the what is it, like pathogen disaster, like end of the world through disease, because whereas there were the things of the rationing of water, like everyone wanted clean water. That was the thing. That was like they were treating it like it was fucking gold.
Dude, like water was just like the one thing that people ingested the entire time in the movie.
Like
no food, nothing, just water. Water. I understand that water is important in a real post-apocalyptic or an apocalyptic setting. Water is going to be rationed. Like that's just natural. That's human nature. That's the way it goes. Especially if a water supply by then has been poisoned. But the funny thing is, all of this damage seems to only be happening in central Nevada and Southern California.
That is part of the science bit we'll get to.
And then, of course, at one line they say, meteors are going to strike all around the world! So when did this happen, and how in the world did this one meteor heading in one spot all of a sudden spread?
Shut the fuck up.
Science!
It's science, and we'll get to it.
Do you even know anything about science?
I apparently don't, according to these guys. So, but like I was saying, there's the thing where it's like rationing water. That's the natural disaster. But then there's also a cure aspect, where they're trying to get a cure for the meteor water, like the water that's been tainted by this meteor. There's a cure for it because it's not just like lead poisoning.
Yeah, it's not like alkaline metal poisoning and whatnot.
Nothing like
it's
that.
It's a pathogen.
It is. They mentioned that
it's
numerous times.
It's an alien virus that they end up finding a cure for within a couple days.
Yeah, by a single scientist.
And I'm sorry. How long have we been trying to find the cure for AIDS? Or how long has the government been keeping it a secret?
Depending on your conspiracy.
No, because the thing is, though, in this movie, government is not good.
Oh, my God.
Like, the government officials and whatnot, they're the ones who like, whoa, we're going to leave them behind. Why? There are people there.
Here, hold on. Listen, buddy, you don't play by the rules. We have bureaucracy here, and we need to keep these people quarantined in case they're dangerous.
We've also got a budget.
They do. They mentioned the budget.
Listen, we don't have the budget or something like that. I'm like, really? You're throwing fiscal conservatism into this now?
Oh, my God. Basically, you had the one... There was a first shot that they introduced the government people, which is, of course, the generic plot that's in all these...
It's in the Pentagon,
movies.
Which is weird because this probably wouldn't be taking place in the Pentagon.
You got two guys.
Like NASA probably would.
Probably.
Like most of all the other types of asteroid and deep impact, like Deep Impact, Armageddon, and all this kind of stuff. It's NASA that takes care of the shit. That teams up with the Army. You know why? Because the Pentagon doesn't have a fucking NASA division. At least I don't think it does.
Homeland Security was in this too.
Oh yeah.
But
because this is totally a terrorist attack.
The first time the government was introduced, there are these two guys, and you can tell immediately their character types. You got the one guy, big, bulky, he's not taking no shit from nobody, but he has his shirt tucked in, his tie up straight. He's like, we gotta play by the rules around here. That's the only way we're gonna get out of this alive.
The book is the most important thing, even more than people's lives.
And then the other guy walks in, he's got his tie slightly undone, his hair's a bit ruffled, his shirt's untucked, and he's like, there are people there who are going to die if we don't get them out.
I am countermanding Washington.
I don't go by the book, I care for human life.
And human life sometimes requires you going off the scale.
It's an election year, Fallon.
I knew you were going to start it.
Was.
The moment we were starting that, I knew we were going to reference that damn movie.
But,
which is available here.
Wow, let's plug all our shit. Alright, episode 1, 2, 3. But yeah, the government's just, you know, generic government in an apocalypse. You got the guy in the government who's trying to make things good. You got the guy in the government who's just like, we gotta do things as the people up top say. We don't care about the little guy. It's pretty generic all around, which I guess would bring us into the writing.
I really wish that Bishop showed up. That would be a great intro. It's like all of a sudden he just shows up. He's like, I'm not taking any of this. But
Yeah, the writing.
The writing.
As we said before, it's all generic.
It's bland.
Yeah.
It's very bland. No emotion there. No tension. There's a couple moments where like people were rioting against police officers
Which
in the
could
movie.
have been interesting.
But the thing is, though, the way that each angle was shot didn't mesh together. So at one shot, there was actually really cool when he was like walking through like the smoke, like it was tear gas or something like that. It was like he was walking through the smoke grenades, and then all of a sudden it cuts to the next shot and there's no smoke.
I like how when I talk about acting, you talk about the writing. When I talk about the writing, you move on to cinematography.
Well, the thing is, though, it goes back like how it was written in the script. Probably was a combination
You think
of that.
they told the director how to shoot things?
Do you not know how screenplays work?
Do you think they know how screenplays work?
I'm gonna fucking educate you.
No, not them, not the audience, the people in the movie.
I'll fucking educate them.
Those writers don't
I
know.
hope they watch this. I hope they watch this and learn something. Now, did I say that my movies are great? No. But at the same time, I know what competency looks like.
Anyway, yeah.
And if you've got a budget...
The writing is... They don't have a budget. The writing is not great. I mean, you said there was one shot in particular that would have been great to open the movie. They're walking on an open road.
No.
Radio's playing in the back.
It was in like one of those reservoir areas in L.A., and, there's a radio playing in the back of what was going on, some ambient music, and, like it was panning up, and you just saw two people walking. I'm like, very, the Last of Us type deal. It's very, it was cool. Like, that was all right. And then it got ruined by the rest of the movie.
And everything that came before.
Yeah,
as well.
just the rest of the movie.
Well, yeah, that's what really the whole movie should have been. Like, it would have been still a generic post-apocalypse thing, but it would have been a decent generic post-apocalypse thing.
And also, there was this one scene that was very Mad Maxy, like you said before, where a whole bunch of people are just riding on four-wheelers, trying to get the water from these guys. And I'm like, alright, I get that, and whatnot. Very Mad Maxy mixed together with, like...
Every other
apocalypse movie basically available. It's like, there's so many elements that's just pulling right out of the road, too.
Oh, yeah.
But the thing is, though, I would have liked to see more interaction with other people.
That's just it. But the opening credits to this were Faith Films presents, fade out. Meteor Apocalypse, fade out.
Meteor!
No. Actor 1. Actor 2. And then they got into, like, unit directors. It's like, there are only 2 actors in this entire film.
They're the top billed ones,
They're the top billed ones, but they didn't... Like, usually when we get in these bad films, they try to credit as many people as possible in those opening things.
Yeah, usually.
They're like, and here's the guy who was in the background of that one scene.
And here's all the dress extras. But, yeah, I mean, alright. Writing, acting, then just move into cinematography. It's basic.
It's like... The whole thing is basic.
It's so obvious that when they're trying to go for tension, because all of a sudden the camera is like shaking the fuck out of itself. And beforehand, all of that, like, it would shake, but it would be basically like as smooth as you can get with just handheld, which is fine. I understand that. But then it was like, obviously shaking. Oh, this is a tense scene. Be afraid.
There was, like we said, there was one shot that was particularly good, and I feel like that happened once every like 20 minutes or so. They had just a one shot that was like, that's decent. It's not great, but it's decent.
Cinematographer's like, oh, I can actually be an artist.
Oh, sorry, going back real quick, just to writing, because it just popped in my head. There was one particular shot when they're trying to escape from the scientist's lab. There are gunmen out by the door, and so they climb up onto the roof, and then the guy's apparently afraid of heights, which was hinted at earlier, but it never's actually brought back to, so I don't understand.
Yeah, it's never brought up.
So he's like, no, I can't go there. He's like, then I guess we'll have to go back. And then they got back out of the air vent and just did the exact same thing they would have done.
It was a waste of like 5 minutes.
It was. Not even 5 minutes. It was 30 seconds of like, why was that there?
And the funny thing is, like, he's climbing on tops of mountains later on, so what happens to his fear of heights at that point?
By that point, he's too determined to get to his
by that point, he had already been told about God, so...
Oh, that's right.
And whatnot. Yeah, so, like, his faith overcame his phobia. Like, that happens.
We should go into that.
Alright.
Faith. We have nothing against faith.
No, if you, like, we did this when we had to do Sunday School Musical, and whatnot. I was like, if you believe in something, that's fine. We're not attacking anyone's faith here on ShitFlix.
Whatever.
we're attacking the way that these people represent this in this movie, and the way they represent it is fucking ridiculous.
Now, see, they toned down compared to Sunday School Musical,
which wasn't actually all that
exactly
blowing up and whatnot.
They toned it down significantly. There was only, I don't know, 10 minutes, 15 minutes of the scene which was taking place in a church, and that was just strictly because it's like the last congregation, people. And this is the evac point.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. If they don't, there's like, they say, Pastor, do you pray? And then occasionally there's like a few seconds where the guy's like, oh, okay. And it seems like he's praying.
God.
Maybe he's just saying, because he's on top of a cliff. God. Maybe he's just like, God. Ooh.
God.
Maybe he's saying, God.
Get my back, man.
So.
And the funny thing is at the end of that scene, this is.
Oh my God! Yeah.
The pastor goes back into the church.
The entire evac, everyone's evacuated except for the main characters, both of them, and then the pastor, because there's not enough room in the car. Because God knows they can't just stuff other people in there. So then they're all like, the pastor goes into the church saying like, "Oh, I got to be in there for God or something." We didn't quite listen to what she was saying because at that moment, a giant fucking meteor, boom, destroyed the fucking church. Just annihilated.
I know, the funny thing though, actually, it first hit, there was one that first hit the clock tower, the steeple, and then while the two main characters were running away, the whole thing exploded, and the first thought through my head, I told David, was like, where's your God now? I'm like, how is this movie, like, trying to prove a point that faith will get you through things when faith is destroyed?
But then I made my point of, this isn't trying to be a faith in God sort of thing. It's just the faith that the main character will find his wife and child. Because he is told, basically, through visuals or by other people, that these two girls are dead. Like, at least 3 times throughout the course of this movie.
Basically, yeah.
And he just keeps on searching for them. And I think that's where the faith aspect comes in.
And I can see that, but that idea gets queered by the entirety of that scene with the pastor. Mm-hmm. Because it's like, she was like,
I have faith God will keep me through this.
Basically, but she's like, she said, like, I used to be like you, and I was just only looking out for me and mine. Then I found someone. And I'm like, so all of your problems were solved.
Yeah.
I don't, as I said, like, I don't have a thing with faith. Like, I'm not bringing personal bias into this whole thing. But there's a difference between faith and blind faith. Mm-hmm. And blind faith is fucking stupid.
Blind faith is what makes, like, Westboro Baptist Church possible.
Yes. And you know what? That is a completely unbiased statement, actually. Uh-huh. They're just a bunch of cunts. But...
Unbiased!
Unbiased, totally.
Alright, so...
But... Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, though, it doesn't. It doesn't wrap people over the head with it. No. And I do thank it for that, but at the same time, though, it makes the rest of the movie even more silly. Because its centralized theme is barely touched on in the movie.
But that's just it. That makes me think it's not the centralized theme. I mean,
no, it's not a faith in God in that sense. Yeah. It's a faith, and I understand that. Like, the faith in the ability to overcome adversity and whatnot, which is a organic interpretation of the Bible, which is great, because that's what you're supposed to do. But at the same time, it's not done well. Like, there's plenty of stories that have been done well from that point of view, and it's just linked together in great ways, but, I mean, this movie does not. This movie is a bad CGI'd, post-apocalyptic film that throws faith into this as a type of theme for the movie, but it's really only theme in name.
Right. It's
not really actually brought up at all.
I mean, it's around, but no one ever makes mention to it, which...
No, only a couple times, and that's it. And I'm like, and especially the end of the movie is so it's like, they're just hugging, and they're hugging, and the camera's spinning around and whatnot.
The chopper lands.
And the choppers land, and they're
still hugging and smiling.
Yeah. And their waiting is like... there's still meteors falling. LA has been completely destroyed.
That's all it did. Oh, no. And that will bring us into science. Now, hold on. No, I need you alive for this.
My smother!
The way I want to do this is we go back and forth. It'll only take about a minute or so because we have a lot of science to go over. Oh. Go back and forth, list off the one thing. The one that you just were bringing up, save for last, because that's the most fun. All right. You want to go first or me?
You go.
Okay, number one thing. As I said before, this meteor is right in the fucking sky. It is 4 days away. It is 4 days away. Anyone would be able to see this. Anyone with a telescope would be able to see this.
Even the fake ones from Walmart.
You know how far away the moon is? Not 4 fucking days away. It's a bit of a distance. So anything, if you're like looking up with binoculars, you're like, well, that's an increasingly large-sized star.
Oh, it's getting bigger.
Oh, and that's just it. At one point, they blow it up with, they said this, all of the nuclear warheads in the world. If not just at least from the nuclear state.
Which I completely say bullshit, because when they have like the actual shot of the missiles coming out, there's probably only like 40 of them, maybe less than that. And I'm sorry, how many nukes does the U.S. have? Like,
a lot.
Like over 500,000, probably way more.
Point being, you would see that light in the sky. Everyone would be like, shit.
We would be blowing the shit out of that thing.
And yet
America alone would be able to take it down.
Exactly.
And that, alright, that moves into point number 2.
Yep.
About the actual meteors coming to Earth. When it gets hit with the nukes, they break into smaller pieces. Now, they're obviously trying to mimic things like, I don't fucking know. They're like trying to mimic like Armageddon.
Yeah,
when it comes
like, in the very beginning opening scene.
when they blow it up, it just. But the thing is, though, it breaks into 2 giant pieces. Like
That's deep impact.
Yeah, well, there, something like that. I mixed the 2.
Yeah.
But the thing is,
in Armageddon, the very opening scene was all like the meteors destroying the city. Like there were like the little meteor balls. With
yeah. But the thing is,
professional.
Professional. Even though the rest of Armageddon is fucking stupid. But the thing is, hi Michael Bay. The thing is, these meteors, they break up. If you science.
You science?
If you science, you would know that when these pieces of rock enter Earth's atmosphere, it's going to continue to burn up and break apart because of the entry. Most meteors that enter the atmosphere of the Earth are destroyed before they ever leave the actual ozone layer.
That being said, many do make it through.
Yes.
There are many rocks, but not to the scale that they are showing in this movie.
No, they're like this big.
They're like that big. That would be destroyed. That definitely would be destroyed. And that leads me on to my next point. There are shots where the meteors are landing in the desert, which...
no depth perception whatsoever.
No depth perception. Unless, if there is depth perception, these things are extremely tiny and they don't have any sort of fire trail. But these things, if they are to survive the atmospheric destruction, they would be so supersonic. They'd be like... But what happens, just so you can get a clear image of them?
Like you're playing fucking Missile Command.
And it's like as far away as you are from me right now. It's moving that fast. You can follow it with your eye. No, that thing would be like out of frame. Boom!
It would just be out of frame explosion.
That's all you would see.
It would be basically like if there's a war movie and all of a sudden all these shells are falling. You don't see the incoming shells. You see the explosions from them.
Right.
Guess what? Reality.
Mm-hmm. And I can understand. People would expect to see the meteors in cinema.
Yeah.
That's just getting cinema right.
I mean, it's true, the CGI is really
speed.
awful in this. This is like Flash type deal. But at the same time, you still could do it better.
Yeah, and I'm going to take this one real quick, a 4th point, because it kind of relates, and also I want to leave the last one up to you.
Yeah.
The last meteor, the last really big meteor, they just throw that out the window. That thing where it's like really fast that I said earlier, where it should only be like 1 frame, if any, of that on screen. That's what they did for the last meteor. This massive meteor that is supposed to wipe out all of Los Angeles. It's like, picture of Los Angeles. And this is 3 frames, mind you. Picture of Los Angeles, meteor, explosion. It's like, no, that size of a meteor would have some sort of entry. It should come down from the clouds on fire. Shockwave approaches the camera, dust is flying up, but no, it's just 1, 2, 3, boom, dead. And the explosion radius.
Okay. The explosion
Throughout the entire movie. Throughout the entire movie.
One, it's not consistent at all.
No.
Two,
they've been talking about this for the entire movie. The entire movie. In 3 days, LA is going under.
the meteor is only happening in one spot.
Oh, yeah.
And they continually say that it's going to hit LA in 3 days.
Until one line says, every city on the planet's going to be hit.
So everybody shot their nukes at one that was heading toward the United States, but let everything else go?
Of course.
Because the U.S. is that important? You know what? Fuck you.
Haven't you ever watched an apocalypse film, Matt? U.S. is always that important.
Not if you watch a foreign one. We're usually always the first to go.
That's true. But anyway,
they'd probably be true.
This meteor, it's coming down.
It's huge.
It's huge, but
if it's the size of LA.
But it's not.
If it is the size of LA, because it looks like it should be, when it first enters, you see this giant fucking shadow over all of LA.
I forgot about that.
The giant shadow. It covers all of LA. And then it was like half that size.
Half that size.
Barely and whatnot. And it only wipes out downtown LA.
If even.
Now, the real impact would be a lot fucking bigger because,
Put your arm up like this. This is all of LA. This whole circle area right here. This is all of LA. Matt, show what the meteor took out. That much. That much of LA.
That required a citywide evacuation and people going batshit crazy. And also all the problems with the water and whatnot, never brought up again.
Nope.
Never.
As soon as everyone had a readily available source of bottled water, they're like, yeah, whatever. That tap stuff wasn't good anyway.
I get mine bottled in Philly. Deer Park.
Dasani.
Just... It's annoying because literally this movie seems very lazy. Mm-hmm. The blandness of the movie is completely due to the fact that the people who were making it didn't give a flying fuck of what they were doing.
And if they did...
At least in Sunday School Musical, you can see that some of the actors were getting into their roles, like the kid who's like, this never happened when Mom was alive. Whatnot. It's like, these people got into it, some of them at least, when they weren't, being horrible. But this movie... No one.
No.
Even the editor seemed lazily. It's like, click, click.
There was one shot
click.
where the meteor looked really close to Earth, and then a couple shots later, scenes later.
It's like back before the moon and whatnot. So
this isn't the right distance.
Okay,
anyway,
so
Final thoughts.
Bland acting, bland everything. Just bland shit 101. Yeah. And there's no directing. We didn't even look up the director. I don't think we need to. This director probably did the other Faith Films movies. But I hope we don't run into another one of these films again soon.
As for me, does it have a bad message? No.
No.
Does it do anything just totally amoral? Oh, by the way, sorry, I know this is final thought. Forgot to mention, as this is a Faith Films, this girl that the main character's been hanging out with, she tries to kiss him later on in the movie. And rather than have that big romantic kiss, he's like, no.
Because then again, at the same time, it's only been a couple days. All this stuff has only happened in like a few days, even though they never do a good job of telling
She did save his life.
Yeah.
No, reverse that. He did save her life.
I think it was kind of a combination of both at one point.
Anyway, but
still.
Yeah, it doesn't have a bad message. The acting is not dreadful. Nothing in this movie is absolutely terrible except for the science. But that's just fun to laugh at. Overall, it's just a blah movie.
Blah.
I mean, I could see this being the movie that people are like, oh my god, I watched the funniest fucking movie the other day. You gotta watch this shit. I can see that being this movie in a few years' time. Right now, though, it's just a blah movie.
It's very blah.
Blah.
And if there's any Asylum movies as before, like this is It's not like low on the standards of Asylum movies for badness,
but it's average.
Like middle.
That may be worse.
It's the C student.
That may be worse.
It is the C student, and that's actually bad because it's not horrible, but it's not funny or fun to watch. So it doesn't stand out at all. Like Sunday School Musical stands out more than this movie.
And so yeah, that's about it. And according to this, it has been a little over half an hour, so I guess our death is imminent. This is it, Matt. We've had a good run here on ShitFlix. 29 episodes, and I've seen more bad films than I've ever cared to watch. I wonder how we'll be remembered here on the YouTube.
Remembered?
Oh, yeah.
David?
Yeah.
Is that the meteor?
No.
That was supposed to kill us?
No. Wait. Yep. That's, that's it. That's crazy.
Some more, it's tricky.